Build on what you know about making shapes in Illustrator and advance it with something called the Shape Builder tool. You're going to make a slice of pizza imitating the same toppings that I have. I am going to first show you how to make a new document. You're going to follow along with that. Your Illustrator, when you launch it, will look more like this. We're going to do a new file. You can use the blue. You can do File, New. You will name this file Illustrator, Skills, no spaces, dash, your last name, first initial. You will change, so whatever the unit of measure is here, you're going to change it to inches, and we're going for an 8.5 by 11 inch document. I want you to increase your artboards to 4. Everything else remains the same. Create. Immediately, you're going to save this. File, Save. And we need to save it as a cloud document. It's possible that what will pop up for you will look like this. This thinks that you want to save locally onto the computer, onto the desktop. You also might have something that looks like this, which is a broader view. Still, it's trying to save to a different location on the computer. You're looking for the button Save Cloud Document. So if it already looks like this, great. If not, navigate to it. The name remains, we hit save. And that updates so that the file now ends in .aic, and the C means cloud, so now it's saving automatically. Let's zoom in on that artboard. View. If I do zoom in, that'll get a little closer, but be slow. If I do View, Fit Artboard, and Window, that's super fast. The quick keys here, remember, are Command plus to zoom in, Command minus to zoom out, and Command 0 to fit on screen. Okay, so let me just pop back here. You're going to make the following shapes, and you're going to use just a white fill and a black stroke. I am going to bring all of these over into this document. I want you to consider that everything except those, well, actually, all of them. I want you to consider that all of these use shape-making techniques you know how to use. I have some ellipses and perfect circles. Perfect circle, hold Shift. I have here a rectangle, but the corners have been rounded. So it's starting like this and then hovering and using those corner controls so that I can make sort of the crust. For the triangle, that is using a polygon tool, but it's making it 3-sided. I want you to go ahead, you can pause the video, and I want you to make these shapes. I'm next going to show you some things that get a little fancier here. So what these shapes are going to be are slices of black olive and then a mushroom slice. In both cases, we're going to use 2 overlapping shapes and then use a new tool to combine them. Let me get rid of these for just a moment. I'm going to make an ellipse. I do have a white fill and a black stroke, and that makes it easier to see what I'm doing. I'm using a 5-point stroke. I'm going to hold that down, use the rectangle. I'll get a rectangle overlapping. I'm rounding it a little bit. I'm switching to my black selection tool, selecting, dragging over both of them, and aligning them in the center. Next, might as well duplicate this circle. Option, click and drag. Option, click and drag again. This time I'm going to hold Shift and shrink that down because for the olive I need 2 overlapping circles. And if I select them both by dragging over them both, I can use the alignment tool in both directions. Okay, now I'm just going to make some backups of those over here. Option, click and drag. So in order to make the mushroom, consider, there's no overlapping shape there. They started as two separate shapes with the line separating, but then it becomes one. That's using the shape builder. You're going to select the two overlapping shapes. You're going to this tool, the shape builder. You are going to hover over, and you'll see that it takes little sections. Anywhere the overlap's happening, it separates things into new sections. I start at the top and click and drag over the zones that I want to combine into one. I'll do it one more time over here. Actually, I want you to see that if I have the shape builder tool and I try to go here, it won't let me. The shape builder only works if you select the overlapping shapes, then it's ready to play. Next, I'm going to use the shape builder with the olive. I want you to understand what we're trying to do is create a hole in that. Right now, I have two circles, but it's not punched through. I'm still using the shape builder. I'm going to select the two overlapping shapes, go to the shape builder tool, but instead of adding those two shapes, I want to subtract a part of the overlapping. So I hold Option and I get a minus sign. So if I click on the center, it subtracts it. That now is operating as one shape, like it understands it to be one thing now. Okay, so your next move is to build your slice. So you are going to, let me zoom back in. You're going to do a little bit of arranging. You're going to start making copies of your toppings and starting to do a little bit of arranging. What I want you to consider is the scale. You might need to hold Shift and shrink some things down to get them looking a little more reasonable. I also want you to consider that when toppings go on a piece of pizza, they rarely are standing all upright in an even way. You might need to hover near the corner and drag and tip and turn to make things look a little more natural. And then the last thing to make them, well, not the very last thing, but another thing that I am looking for is that some of those pieces of the topping are going to be hovering over the edge. Let's Option click and drag. So that pepperoni might not fit in the slice. It might be that it got sliced off. I want you to problem solve. Oops, I keep grabbing that. I want you to problem solve if you were going to have some toppings that are coming over the edge and that are slicing off. How can you use the shape builder tool to make that happen? It's just like you used shape builder with the olive. It does involve subtracting. Lastly, once you have your shapes in position, you're going to assign color. If you start in your properties panel, start with the ready-made color, but then those aren't going to look very natural. So you are going to be, and in fact, I'm going to go there. You're going to come over to bottom of your toolbar, double click on the swatch until you get the color picker so that you can pop around and be a little bit pickier with what you started with, and also you can slide around on the spectrum. Maybe I want that a little warmer, but also a little bit richer that way. Maybe I want it somewhere right in between, and say okay. I want you to make custom color rather than using the ready-made colors here. And when you're finished, when you have your slice made, you're going to fit it on the screen, which means Command 0. Oops, there we go. And you are going to do a screenshot, Command Shift 4. Command Shift 4 turns your cursor into a little crosshair. You're going to drag just around that artboard and let go. It takes a picture, it puts it on your desktop of your pizza slice. You'll upload that to the assignment, turn it in.